Welcome back, Fabrication Nation. Today is a milestone on the channel. We just hit over 400 subscribers. I know it's not a lot, but for me, it's a lot of good progress. So please spread the word, share the channel, tell your friends, and come back and watch all of the projects that we get completed here in the shop. So the other milestone on the channel is we are going to have our first Fabrication Nation visitor here in the shop. He's local, and I know him through some friends here in the city, but he was actually watching the channel before I ever got to meet him, and he was one of my very first subscribers to the channel. So very excited to have him here in the shop and show him around. And anybody else that stops by, please message me, email me, let me know, and I'd be happy to have you here in the shop as well and show you around. I'm excited to get to know more about the people that are watching the channel and are interested in this kind of work, and I'm excited to work with people like that. So please stop by if you get a chance. What I'm going to talk about today is pipe notching. I got a piece of Schedule 42-inch pipe here, and I'll talk a little bit about what 2-inch pipe is, how thick it is, and the ways that you can notch it. And I also have a new toy that I want to show everybody. I've been playing around with, and it's working out really well for me. So I'll just do a quick review on that, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of the different ways to notch pipe. Well, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, this is our piece of Schedule 40 pipe. This is 2-inch pipe, and this is predominantly used in drilling applications. This is the kind of pipe that they use when they're drilling for oil. The oil and the crud and the dirt and the gas all comes through the center of this pipe. They use the tip of this pipe, they put a drill head on the end of it, they push it in the ground, they drill through it. Once they've run out of pipe, they stack another piece of pipe on top of it, and they continue drilling until they hit the patch that they need to hit. But this pipe is also used in a lot of other applications as well, because drill pipe is so plentiful. People use it to build fences, they use it to build cattle guards, they use it to build just about anything, barns, pole barns, anything that needs a structural strength with steel. And if you want to do it on a budget, used drill pipe is usually pretty cheap. But I'd caution you on that, because used drill pipe has a lot of weaknesses. It's been used in ways that puts a lot of stress on the metal, and it also creates a lot of corrosion in the metal. So if you're wanting to use it for something structural, you have to be careful on using used pipe. If you want it to be used for something that's more visual or aesthetic, then you also have to be careful, because like I said, it rusts. All that oil and crud gets on the inside, and eventually it rusts through the inside, and it comes rust to the outside. And then anytime you paint it over it or you weld it over it, it'll just eat right through it. But if you pick some good used drill pipe, you can really do a lot of good stuff with it. I could make a whole video talking just about pipe, but what I want to talk about today is saddle or coping or notching pipe like this. So first, we need to know what we're dealing with. Like I said, this is 2-inch pipe, but what does that mean? Does that mean that it's 2 inches round? So it's actually a little bit confusing, because what it does mean is the ID, the inner diameter, is 2 inches, and the OD depends on the schedule of the pipe. So this is Schedule 40, and the different schedules have different wall thicknesses. So let's just get a measurement on this to see what we're working with. So our OD is 2.378, which is consistent with what the manufacturer says, and the ID should be 2 inches. So the ID is 1.98, so we're right under 2 inches there. So now, what is the thickness? Our thickness is coming in at 0.192. So that's what 2-inch Schedule 40 pipe is. So I'm just going to demonstrate just a couple. I'll demonstrate the torch, notching pipe with the torch, and then I will demonstrate using a hole saw and my new toy I have over here. So I'm going to get the torch set up, got my piece of pipe. Nobody usually starts with pipe this clean, this nice, and this straight. But I'm here in my shop and I'm able to start with a piece of pipe like this. That's how it's done. You can see that took all of 2 seconds. And we have a notched pipe. I'll let this cool down for a minute before I pick it up. So that's the other downfall with using the torch is the material is very hot. You can't work with it immediately. You have to let it cool down for several minutes before you can actually use it. So yes, it is a very quick, effective way to cut the notch, but then you have to factor in the time it has to sit there as well before you can even use it. Now if you're doing a whole bunch of them, you can go through and just start knocking them out, and by the time you finish, then you can go back to the first one and it's cool. So if you got several to do, that's not an issue. But you can see all of the slag that's left off of the cut. And I know some people who are really good with the torch, and they can cut this stuff with hardly any slag, and it looks like a perfect cut, and it looks like it was done with a plasma cutter. I'm just not that good. But if you are, then this is the way for you to go. If you're not good with a torch, then you probably want to find another way to do it, because you can really screw it up if you're not good with a torch, and you'll have to go back in and fill some major gaps with the welding rod. All right, well, that's how you notch a pipe with a torch. So we'll move on. Now you remember this guy, don't you? He's been pretty handy. I've used it quite a bit here in the shop, and I really wish I would have done this project a long time ago. But now's better than never, and I've been really happy with this thing. It's mobile. It goes around everywhere I need it to. It's very sturdy, and I can really wrench on this thing before it even starts to tip over. And that's exactly what I was looking for. I really got lucky finding the base for this and then being able to modify it rather than starting from scratch. If you haven't seen my vice base videos, then go back and look at those. I think there's 3 videos on the vice base and how I built that. Nothing too complicated, anybody can do it. But it's a very effective tool here in the shop, and I think everybody probably needs one. This brings me up to my second cut that I'm going to make, or second style of cut that I'm going to make. I'll just go ahead and set it up and then show you what it is. I'm pretty excited about it, and I think you'll like it too. So let me just go ahead and get it set up. So there it is. This is my pipe notching fixture. This is a Baileigh TN-250, and this thing is a monster. This thing is heavy. It's well built. Look at this. This is a good 1-inch material there. If you look off to the side, maybe 3/4 inch right there. Very thick, very sturdy. But it's not cheap. I don't know what they're going for now. I think when I bought this, it was somewhere around the $600 range. I've actually had it for a while. I just haven't had a chance to use it. I haven't had a need to use it. And I bought it for a job that I ended up not getting. So, but I had a new toy, so who can complain with that? But now I have a reason to use it, so I get to get it out and mess around with it. And I have my vise base. So prior to this, I actually had this mounted on the back of a truck, and I used it there. I never had a structure or a base for it. The neat thing about it is that it centers on your pipe. So no matter what size pipe you have, you just stick it in here, and the teeth or the jaws close in on it, and they center your pipe exactly where it needs to be, just like that. Has a dial indicator up here, so you can see if you want to cut it at a 90 degree or 0 or 45 degree. It has an adjustment right here. You let these loose, and this will swing any direction you want. It also has an adjustment back here, so you can go high or low on your notch that you want to make. It also has a 1-inch stainless steel shaft, and in through here, through this block, it's got needle bearings, so it spins on those needle bearings. It's very free-flowing and very accurate. Now you might notice my hole saw is a little bit different, and that's because this is a man's hole saw. If you look at the teeth, it's got carbide teeth welded to it. So let me go get the other hole saw so you can just see the difference. Now let's look at them up close. So looks like my first visitor is here. So I'm going to stop here, take a break, and then we'll get back to it. What's up, man?
What's up? How you doing? Man, I thought it was horse. You know what? Thanks.
I don't want to get one of those.
Yeah?
Toyota?
Yes. That's not really? Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, we just had our first Fabrication Nation visitor stop by. He is also a local YouTube creator, so I'll put a link here in the drop down. Go check him out at Performance Welder, and I'll include the link of him doing a burnout on his mini bike. Pretty cool video, so go check him out. We had a lot of good conversation, talked about all the projects I have going on, talked about my machines, talked about some of his projects, but most importantly, I got direct feedback from the customer and what kind of videos that he likes, that he enjoys, and the videos that he wants to see upcoming. And that's very good feedback. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on my videos through comments, but you just get a different perspective whenever it's face-to-face, and you can really get in detail about what it is that the Fabrication Nation wants to see, what kind of projects they want me to build. And he's also a welder fabricator himself, so we may be teaming up here in the near future on a collaboration build, and we'll have some good video on that as well. So a lot to come. It was a good meeting. And as I said before, if you're in town, if you're local, or if you just want to make a trip out here, reach out to me and let me know if you want to stop by and see the shop. I'm open to anybody out there that is interested in manufacturing and welding and machining. And I'm open to hear your ideas and to show you a little bit more about what we have going on here. Okay, like I said, the teeth on this standard hole saw is part of the material itself, and the teeth have been hardened so that they are harder than the material they are cutting through. Same thing with this industrial hole saw here. It has a standard metal body, and then it has carbide inserted teeth. These are brazed on, and they use carbide because carbide is a very tough, strong material, much tougher than standard metal, and it will cut through it like butter. These are not cheap. Like I said before, these are going to run you anywhere from $10 to $20 depending on the style, size, and quality that you buy. And this one was about $100 by itself. So definitely a big price gap there. But you're going to get a lot more cuts out of this and better quality cuts out of this than you are with your standard hole saw. I had to fabricate a specialized stud for this because there's threads on this end, and then there's threads on the back of a hole saw. You can see there. Well, the threads that are on this are not standard. They're larger thread, and they're a different pitch. So I actually had to machine a stud that was an adapter that would screw into the shaft and to the hole saw here. Let's see how this thing works. Get up, close look at this. Okay, now that I got the two notches cut, let's take an up-close look and let's compare. So the one on the right here, I cut with a torch. The one on the left, I cut with a hole saw. And you can see the difference right off the bat. I mean, there's just no comparison as far as the cut quality. So let's start with the torch one. You can see the slag that's on here. And like I said, I'm not very good with a torch, so your cut quality is going to be only as good as the skill level of the person doing the cut. But the cut was it was effective, it was quick, and it was cheap. So if you take a pipe and you set it on there, overall, that's not bad. That's pretty good as far as being able to weld that. You run into a problem underneath. Now look at that gap. Now a welder is going to have to go in and fill that up. And if you're using a thick rod, you could get through that fairly simple. But it's going to be a pain to fill that up. This one's not as bad. Still a little gap, but not as bad. Also, a welder fabricator is not just going to leave this like this. They're going to use a grinder, and they're going to come back and they're going to clean this up to the best of their ability. They may be able to get like ridges like this and ridges like that. They'll be able to grind those down smooth and flush, but they're still going to have some gaps to fill. You're just not going to get it perfect. They do have some tools out there where you can clamp on and you can draw a perfect cutout. But even if you draw a perfect cutout, like I said, it's only going to be as good as the skill of the person holding the torch. Now with the hole saw version, very minimal skill is needed. You set it up, you measure it out, and you cut right through it. The only thing I would caution you on is with the hole saw is you gotta be higher speed RPM with the drill. If you get a little scared or timid and you slow down the drill, the teeth will catch and it will knock the drill right out of your hand. So you got to be careful there. But as long as you have high RPM, you're consistent, and your feed rate is fairly slow, you'll just cut through that like nothing. But look at this, the quality here. Got a little bit of a burr, nothing that a grinder won't knock down real quick. But this is ready to weld. You don't even have to grind this. This is ready to weld. When you put another piece of pipe on top, look at the tolerances you have. Look at this underneath. Perfect. There is no gap. That's a welder's dream right there. If you could give a welder a fit like this every time, you'd have a happy welder. You got a little bit of a gap up top, but really that's a non-issue. And I would prefer this, and the reason why is because a lot of times when people notch, they notch very high, and the notch mouth will come up very high. Well, it's fine when you're welding here, but when you get to welding about here, the material is so thin, you burn right through it. And what happens is you'll put a bead here, it'll burn through it, and you end up having to put another bead down here anyways, just because that's where the meat of the metal is. So by notching, having a very minimal notch, look at this notch, this is not very much of a notch. By having a minimal notch here, you've got a lot of meat right here that you can weld, and you could really pack the weld in there real tight and strong. And you're just going to have a super strong joint right here. So, like I said, there are many ways to notch a pipe. These are going to be the most two common ways to do it, either using a torch or using a hole saw. If you run into a production, then you're going to have to buy a specialized machine that's made to do nothing but this job right here. And you just have to weigh your options. Do you want quality over speed and efficiency over cost? Or do you want cost and quality? And speed is, this took a little bit longer than the torch, but really not much. They're pretty comparable. So it's all about what your wallet can handle.
Well, that'll wrap it up. I hope you are thoroughly informed on pipe notching, and I hope you are inspired to go out and notch the pipe yourself. So please leave some comments, share and subscribe. Let me know what you think about the video. Let me know about any of your ideas, or if I just missed something or got something wrong, let me know. So I'm learning just like the rest of you out there. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I want to thank everybody out there for your support. Like I said, hit 2 milestones today. We're over 400 subscribers, and I had my first Fabrication Nation visitor. So pretty good day here in the shop. I'm looking forward to hitting a lot more milestones with your support. Thanks for watching, and go out and build something.